Loneliness is often described as a temporary emotion, but looking closely at the autonomic nervous system, it registers as something much more severe, a biological survival state. When the brain perceives a persistent lack of social connection, it interprets that absence as a mortal threat. This triggers dorsal vagal shutdown. The vagus nerve initiates a primitive defense mechanism, restricting neural pathways. We can measure this fallout. As this chart shows, heart rate variability plummets while inflammation spikes. The body prepares for physical trauma that hasn't happened. While the body braces for impact, this physiological lockdown creates a distorted psychological reality. The brain, starving for the regulatory feedback of other people, begins to perceive the self as completely severed from the rest of humanity. Chronic loneliness is a biological illusion. It tricks our nervous system into experiencing absolute, inescapable separation. That feeling of biological separation mirrors a much larger misunderstanding of how reality itself operates. In the mid-20th century, theoretical physicist David Bohm proposed a radical rethinking of this exact problem. Bohm made foundational contributions to quantum mechanics, working directly alongside Albert Einstein to map the behavior of atomic particles. Through his work, Bohm identified what he called the explicate order. This is the deeply ingrained human habit of viewing the world as a mechanical collection of isolated, broken fragments. We look at reality and see independent pieces drifting aimlessly apart. When we apply this framework to ourselves, treating individuals as independent fragments, the result is endless conflict and societal confusion. We draw hard boundaries where none actually exist. Whether we are looking at the defensive posture of our nervous system or the cosmology of the universe, the belief that we exist in total isolation is the root cause of our deepest suffering. The biological antidote to this fragmentation is straightforward: the physical presence of another safe human being. When two people interact without threat, their bodies begin to physically regulate one another. This process is driven by neuroception, a subconscious radar system built into our biology that constantly scans the environment, instantly evaluating whether a situation is safe or dangerous without us ever realizing it. Early physiological researchers laid the groundwork for what is now known as polyvagal theory, identifying the exact markers of how this safety is transmitted between bodies during scientific observation. When neuroception detects safety, the ventral vagal complex activates. As this chart shows, it acts as a biological vagal brake, actively slowing a rapid, erratic heart rate down into a steady, rhythmic wave, making social engagement possible. To engage this brake, we rely on subtle, non-verbal cues: extended eye contact, a melodic tone of voice, or a softened facial expression provide the data our nervous system requires to drop its defenses. True safety requires the active, biological presence of human connection. The mere absence of a threat is not enough. Maintaining this biological connection does not require perfect harmony. A healthy nervous system actually relies on an ongoing psychological cycle of rupture and repair. A rupture happens when there is an inevitable misattunement or conflict. This triggers our ancient survival responses, causing us to retreat into a defensive mode. Repair is the active, intentional process of acknowledging the disconnect and returning to emotional attunement to mend the relationship. We can see a physical representation of this process in kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with visible gold lacquer. By highlighting the fractures instead of hiding them, the repaired bond provides deeper structural integrity and trust than if the bowl had never been broken in the first place. As we can see, the inevitable fractures in our relationships are the exact pathways required to build lasting emotional wholeness. At the peak state of relational safety, human connection achieves a phenomenon known as biobehavioral synchrony. During moments of deep emotional safety, two individuals' biological metrics, like heart rate and respiration, literally align. Two chaotic rhythms shift phase until they lock into a single harmonious wave. By distributing this biological effort, the neural energy required to manage stress drops significantly. This evolutionary mechanism proves that humans are biologically designed to outsource their physiological regulation to the people around them. Healing is physically impossible in total isolation. Our bodies mandate the resonance of another person to achieve homeostasis. This biological synchrony maps directly onto David Bohm's ultimate philosophical framework, the concept of the implicate order. Bohm argued that the true, underlying nature of reality is a dynamic, flowing state, where everything in the universe is enfolded into everything else. When we successfully co-regulate and connect with another person, we are temporarily piercing the illusion of separation and experiencing this deeper reality, much like sound frequencies organizing chaotic matter into perfect symmetry. This realization acts as a bio-spiritual homecoming. The simple physical act of holding someone's hand bridges the gap between atomic biology and cosmic philosophy. The act of human connection satisfies a biological survival imperative, while also serving as our conscious, physical return to the undivided wholeness of the universe.